Hello and welcome back to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about your here during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit us online at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. And while at our website, click on the radio page, check out our past shows, and subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. It seems like just yesterday we were asking what happened to summer, but now we are asking what happened to fall, and winter's here. Snow's on the ground. At least in most parts of the country right now, there is winter. And we just got done with that delicious Thanksgiving meal, and now it's time to start thinking about hanging the stockings and waiting for jolly old Saint Nick's yearly appearance. So a few weeks ago, before finishing the 2023 finish line, may also be an ideal time to sit down with your financial service professional to discuss any potentially useful year-end shopkeeping steps. Doing so may be a double whammy that ties up any 2023 loose ends and provides information that can help you make strategy adjustments for 2024. So before we get into our topic today, let me introduce you to my co-host, Tony Shore, who's the only person I know who actually likes fruitcake.
No way. I don't like fruitcake at all. Don't try to sell that horrible lie. Holy cow, fruitcake. I don't know anyone who does like fruitcake. Do you?
So I've tried various fruitcakes. There has been one that wasn't horrible, and it was really good, and it was because all the fruit in it was fresh and cooked that day right then by my aunt, and she used all really good fresh ingredients. She didn't use the candied ingredients. She used fresh cut cherries. She cut the cherries, all that stuff. So everything was fresh. The fruitcake wasn't, cooked a month ago and stored in a freezer.
Right. That helps. But I still wouldn't like it because just the idea of fruit and bread. The only fruit I want associated with bread would be jam or jelly. And
Right.
spread on top. I can handle that, but that's mostly sugar anyway. So
Well, that's kind of what it tasted like, right? Because she didn't use some of the bad
that's
fruits
true.
they usually throw in there. She used
Yeah.
stuff that goes into jam.
Yeah. I mean, do people still buy and send fruitcakes? I remember back in the day that used to be a thing. I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
haven't
so.
seen a fruitcake or heard about fruitcake in years. But of course, Chris, you brought it up. I tried to tell people I liked it.
Yeah. But so I think what people are sending now is like Harry and David's pears, right? And
Right. Yeah.
and,
Harry and
and
David,
those,
I send that as gifts sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really good.
it is. They're good. Tara likes the chocolate. She can do without the pears.
Oh, I love the pears too. I love pears. That's one of my favorite fruits. Yeah,
I like pears, and Harry and David's are pretty good.
they are.
Um, my on my family farm, there were some pear trees
Oh,
just growing out in the pasture. They were just kind of out there. So sometimes they made, sometimes they didn't.
sure.
But when you went out there and you found a couple of good ones, man, they were the bomb.
I bet. Nothing better than fresh fruit off the tree. And I'll tell you, when I went to
Ripened on the
Guatemala,
tree.
yeah, ripened on the tree. You want to go? You want to taste great fruit? Go to
Yeah.
Guatemala and just
Oh, yeah.
one of the kids there just shimmied up the tree with a big old knife. He'd cut it and we'd stand under and catch the bananas and peel them really super thin peels, and they ripen.
Oh,
I've never tasted fruit so good. The pineapple, oh my goodness, it was just
yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I think you've got a good show lined up. Year-end financial
Yeah.
tune-up. We could all use one. You know what I mean? And this
Yes.
this is the planning calendar sweet spot for doing this. So, what do you got for us?
So the first thing we need to do is kind of review what we did this past year. How did we spend our money? How did we plan to spend the money? And then how did we actually spend the money? So we look at our spending plan for 2024 by looking at how we spent our money in 2023. So what I like to do is get out the credit card bills and kind of look through those and see what I spent money on and how things have changed, because things are more expensive, and then did I spend more money in fuel for the car because I traveled more, or did I
Right.
spend less? Did I go to the movies a lot more? And so, do I need to make sure my spending plan accounts for all the various things I did? Did I travel a lot more? Well, yeah, I did. So, hey, let's put some more money in the spending plan envelope for travel. So when you're reflecting on your own spending in 2023, what jumps out at you? Did you go out to eat more than you realized at the time? Is your emergency fund looking a little skimpy because you skipped a contribution or two? So just make sure that you review all those things, uncover anything in there that makes you cringe a little bit. Don't worry, we hey, we are here right now. We're okay. Let's just make sure we know where our money is going so that we know how we're going to spend our money in 2024 so we don't get behind on our spending plan.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that seems like great advice right there. And, I think it comes down to people don't like the B word budget. It's a dirty word to many. But if
It
you
is to
look at,
me.
yeah, look at what you've spent and look at your accounts, and you should sit down every month. My wife and I do. And if we miss a month, it adds stress. And, they say
Oh,
financial stress is the number one cause of divorce or
oh
relationship
wow.
problems in the United States. But if you want to alleviate that financial stress, I mean, open communication, sit down, know where you're at, and plan out the next month. That really helps us. And I like what you're
Oh
saying
yeah.
here too about looking back at 2023 and say, okay, where did I make mistakes? That way, once the new year hits, okay,
Yeah.
these are going to have to be my resolutions. I'm more aware. Being self-aware is half the battle, right?
So,
And
that yeah.
yeah,
Don't spend more money than you make.
yeah. Easy to say, right? Hey, just
It,
don't spend more than you make. You'll be fine.
that's right. and make
Yeah,
sure you're saving
yeah. During the holidays,
at
easier said than
15%.
done because people usually that's when people start putting stuff they shouldn't on credit cards. They go
Yeah.
overboard.
So that's
So
what you should really look at is where is your debt, right? And you can look maybe from last year, is your debt more or less than it was at the same time last year? And so if it's more, then maybe you need to focus on that.
yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
So yeah, and debt is an important thing to look at, isn't it?
It really is because if you can eliminate your debt once for all in the upcoming year, you create focused, clear steps, like cutting back on expenses, even if it's just for a limited time, reducing spending for even just 4 or 5 months, may make a debt go away, which would put you in a situation where you're not spending money on interest on that debt, so then you would have more money to spend. It's a
Right.
it's a it's a really, strange concept to have more money if I can get rid of my debt.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah. That
if
is
I
true.
just
And
tighten the belt
reduce
for a minute.
Yeah, tighten the belt a little bit, reduce spending for a handful of months in order to dedicate more to paying off debt. That seems like a
That's
good
right.
way to make the process more manageable, right?
That's right, and
That's what you're
and
saying?
that that is the key thing to move to the next step, which is saving your savings goals. Make sure that you have savings goals for 2024, um, because we need to save for future future problems that come up. If you need new windows in the house, you need new things. Uh, create a robust savings account can really have lots of benefits. So, if you begin your retirement adventure with a sizable amount of savings, it's a lot easier to maintain your ideal lifestyle, right? If you've got, 50,000 in a savings account, then you don't have to pull on those retirement funds as much. So make sure you have that healthy savings account, so that emergency spending does not get into high interest credit cards that then cost you money in the future. So if the shower in the guest bathroom gives out just before six relatives are coming to stay for the holidays, you're gonna pay that plumber to get fixed whatever he charges.
Hmm.
You are
Yep.
you paying it with cash or are you paying it with your credit card? And you know the answer, Joni.
Yes, exactly. You want to make sure you have liquid funds available for those things. You don't want to put it on a credit card, especially right now, Chris, because credit card interest rates are at 30+%.
Oh,
And
they're
I can't even
booming.
imagine you're going to
Yeah.
get into a hole you can't dig out of if you start putting more stuff on a credit card than you can pay off each month. And saving is important, but like you say, it's about far more than just having a certain percentage of your paycheck put into a savings account, right?
That's right, because okay, so once you get that savings account kind of established, then that lets you have that feeling where you can now make contributions to your retirement accounts, make an create an investment scenario that will help you provide you with retirement incomes. There's various ways to do that. It's not just maxing out the 401k, which you should obviously be doing. If you're not doing that, now is a great time to review that and make sure you're maxing out whatever retirement plan your work has for you. You've got to get all those final contributions in before December 1st, by 31st, by the way. So make sure that all gets in there. So if your employer provides a holiday or year-end bonus, maybe that goes in that 401k and beef that up to the max, right?
Yeah.
So there's the 401k match that everybody should always be doing, but that doesn't mean you've maxed out the 401k. You have room to put in about 22,000 depending on your circumstance. So make sure that you're getting as much in there as you can.
Yeah. Well, and you've always been a big advocate for people maxing out their 401ks
Yes.
and saving for retirement, making those investments. And of course, the sooner you start, the better. The earlier in life you start, the better. We've talked before about, Chris, you always say people come to you, and the number one thing they say is, man, I wish I would have known all this earlier, started this sooner, and
Oh yeah.
so yeah, the sooner the better, right? And but what about 401ks? I'm curious as to where that fits into today's topic.
Well, it's an important part of your spending plan, right?
Right.
After reviewing your high interest debt, taking care of your personal savings goals, um, you need to talk to your financial services professional um, about what's the best way to max out that 401k. What have you put in? They can help you figure out where you are with that 401k. Just bring in your data, and we'll help you look up what the specific rules are for you because they're different for different people, and what you can get in there, so that we make sure that is maxed out. So the other part about that 401k is, well, um, what if I still have some traditional IRAs and now I'm in my 60s, and um, what should I do with this money that's in my 401k? I'm about to retire. Well, we start to talk to clients about Roth conversions. Okay.
Mm,
And Roth conversions are a great way to pay taxes now for tax free withdrawals later, to take advantage of all the great rules that are available for you with a Roth IRA that don't apply to traditional IRAs and 401ks. And so Roth IRAs have a lot of tax benefits. There are some potential drawbacks because of the way it's taxed when you put the money in there. That has to be after tax money inside the
So
Roth
you
IRA.
have to have paid taxes on all the money you put in. So if you're
That's right.
rolling from a traditional 401k or IRA and taking that money and putting it into a Roth, there's huge advantages once it gets into that Roth, but you have to have
Yes,
the ability to pay the taxes on it now.
that's right. And so
But
that's what, yeah, that's why
we
you got
have
to have a
his
plan for it,
right and
so
work with
you're not
somebody like yourself.
bumping yourself up into the max
Yeah.
tax bracket
Yeah.
because you did it all at one time and you didn't want to deal with it. Um, that's why you hire people to help you. It will save you a lot of money if you have
Yes.
a good plan on how you convert that versus just doing it all wholesale.
Yeah.
It's really, really important.
Yeah, huge. Well, and I know that we've talked about Roths before. We've had some interesting conversations about Roth conversions,
Right.
and you've been very clear that they are a really good option for some people because that money grows tax free, and you don't have to pay taxes then on the growth or the principal when you take it out. And
Yeah,
so, versus a traditional IRA, it's going to grow and grow and have that compounding interest. But when you take it out, you're going to have to pay tax on the principal and the interest, everything you ever pull out. So a
that's right.
traditional IRA, if you have $100,000, 30,000 of it could be Uncle Sam's. It's a joint account. If you have a
That's right.
Roth IRA with $100,000 in it, that's all your money, and any growth is yours as well.
Well, and you don't have the option about not taking it out. So when you get to a certain age, and there's a lot of rules around that too, somewhere between 73 and 75, you will have to take that money out. And so we help make sure our clients avoid penalties by making sure they take it out when they're supposed to, um, because the penalties are pretty brutal.
Yep.
They're not as bad as they used to be with the new law changes, but they're
But
still
still up to
still quite
25%.
punitive.
Yeah, up to 25% penalty.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
ouchy. Yeah.
yeah. So you want to get that the required minimum distribution is what it's called, RMD. You want to get that. Make sure you're getting that taken if you're in that position.
But that's
Um,
for a traditional IRA, but you're saying the
right.
advantage to a Roth is there are no required minimum distributions. You can
No
leave that
required
money and you
distribution.
can let it ride as long as you want.
Let it ride, and
Yeah.
guess what? We're living longer, and we need we need our money to ride.
Yeah. That's true.
So we
Yep.
want that money to grow as much as possible and not be subject to what we call tax risk. Okay, so the point about the 401k and traditional IRAs is that you don't know what the taxes are going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. What if taxes turn like they are in Europe, where you could be paying 40 or 50% tax rates on your income? Now you've got all that money sitting in a traditional style fund, and you've got to pay taxes on it. Where if you'd have converted it at the right time, maybe you pay 22% on that
Yeah.
on that on that money.
Yeah, we have historically low tax rates right now,
Yes,
but
we do.
with the deficit and everything that's going on, I mean, there's nowhere for taxes to go but up. So, yeah, that might be a good idea, Roth conversion. Before we go on, though, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you. I'm sure they have questions. You should never do any of this, especially like Roth conversions or retirement income planning without the help of a professional. Otherwise, you could make very costly mistakes. So, how can our listeners get a hold of you, Chris?
Yeah, so they can set up a complimentary consultation and make sure they mention the radio show, and we give them a free book for coming to that first meeting. Call me at 719-210-4242 to set up that complimentary meeting and get your free book of Money Moves by Tara Nolan. Um, so the other thing you can do is check us out on our website. It's nolanfinancialpartners.com. Play around on the site a little bit. You can check out some of the past radio shows if you see a topic that you're interested in. When you come in, let us know what you're interested in talking about. What is your main concern? What do you want to fix, right? Because there's always something to that can be a little better with people's retirement plans. What do you think needs to be fixed? And so bring those questions in, and we'll help you with those.
All right. Well, yeah, that sounds great. Now, this has been a really good show so far. What do you have for us next?
So this is kind of personal to me because my father's in a bad way right now, and so it's reviewing beneficiaries. So we just did that
Ah,
with my family, and so it's a good thing to make sure that you know where your money is going after right, and so ensuring your wishes are going to be followed, that your assets end up where you intend them to end up. And remember that, so there may be some retirement uh, vehicles like an annuity or a life insurance policy or those IRAs. A lot of those have, you can list beneficiaries with those. Okay. So make sure that all that matches up with your will, and so that everything's going in the right direction, and make sure that it's there. So I've had some clients come to me and they had somebody pass and there's no beneficiary named. And so
mm,
now they've got to establish themselves with that company that they're the rightful person to get that money. So they have to show them a will, they have to show them a death certificate, and it's a big, long review process. So it can take a long time to get money if you don't have those beneficiaries' names. Make sure it's updated, make sure it's accurate about how to contact them and send them those checks.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, people don't like to think about their passing or a loved one's passing, but making sure your beneficiaries are updated and accurate, that's going to make things so much easier for our loved ones,
Yeah,
for the
that's
folks
right.
we leave behind. I mean, and that's, you don't want to leave them with burdens or a mess. That's for sure.
Oh no, you have a plan. You know, we made dad write everything down. So back,
Yes, that's
back in the
good.
day.
That's good. That's good.
So, and I next job is get mom to write it down. That's gonna be
Yeah.
harder. It's gonna be harder.
Some folks are easier than others, trust me. Yeah,
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
So, here's another thing that, let's get away from that topic. Let's get to taxes. They're much happier, right?
Wait, what?
So you probably make a lot of money, and you probably have some investment losses during this chaotic market. Well, maybe you should realize those capital losses so that you can take them off your income taxes. So it will shrink your taxable income, and may get you a tax break. So go ahead and losses aren't fun to realize, but you know, it is what it's worth right now. That's what it is, right? But you got to get that sold by December 31st to take
Yes.
advantage of that deduction. So,
And again,
uh,
that's something people should not try to tackle on their own. They should come to
no,
you and you'll look at their situation and do the math to say,
right,
yes, it would make sense because of the tax situation you're in. Talk to your CPA, a tax professional, talk to your financial advisor like yourself, and say, would it make sense for me to realize some losses in the market this year in order to get myself into a lower tax bracket or minimize my tax burden if you're going to end up owing a lot of taxes? That's one way people can do that, right? Is to, if you
right.
end up owing a lot of taxes, you can realize a loss and you don't have to pay those. It can offset that at least.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, and so because money is what it is, and it's all it
Yep.
is, right?
Yep.
Um, so so the next thing we're going to talk about is I think it's probably our last topic for today, is your credit score. Do you know what
Oh,
your credit do you know what your credit score is? Have you gotten a report from one of the three reporting agencies this year? You should at least get one a year from one of them, and you want to see if there's some errors, see if somebody's tried to open up a credit card in your name. It's like, hey, I don't remember that credit card. Let me give that company a call. And so these are things that are really good to do at the end of the year, is to review those things. Your credit report, see if there's anything to fix, because a good credit report can impact, how much you have to pay for money. And so, if we have to pay more for money because we didn't pay attention, just because we didn't pay attention, then that hurts our financial overall, or outlook overall.
Yep.
So they have to provide that to you free of charge, one a year, so you can ask
Yeah.
for that from them.
And there is an official sanctioned site by the government, and it's
Yes.
the only official source under federal law, and that's annualcreditreport.com. Just wanted to let our listeners know that if you go to annualcreditreport.com, once a year there, you can get a credit report from all three of the major credit reporting services and
Yeah.
then make adjustments. I have done that and found mistakes that have affected my credit. And so my credit's gone up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
We had an erroneous, tax lien sitting on our credit report, $11,000
wow.
from the state of Arkansas. I'm like, "We never reported income in your state, and we don't we file in Florida. We're in the military."
Yeah.
And so we never moved from, the first base we went to. And so we kept our Florida driver's license and everything and voted in Florida, and that's what we did while we were in the military.
Yeah.
And so, but when we sold the house, there was taxes, and they put a lien against us, and we don't live there anymore,
Yeah.
but it showed up and
Yeah.
really hurt our credit.
Yeah.
So
you got to look at that stuff and figure out what's going on, and that way you can get it fixed. So
yeah.
that is important. Make sure you check your credit report once a year. You can do that. A lot of banks offer that service. They'll let you know what your credit report is.
Yes.
So, but you need to know, and if they have questions, they can call you. But we're out of time for today's
Oh,
show. It flew by once again, Chris. But one more time before we go, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you if they have questions or want to set up that no charge, no obligation consultation.
so if you have questions about year-end financial steps or steps you can take for 2024, please visit our website at nolanfinancialpartners.com. Call at our office at 719-210-4242, and we'll discuss how our team can help maybe answer your questions, address your concerns. It's our goal to help you prepare for the retirement you've worked so hard for.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris, and listeners. Thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio with our host, Chris McKinney.
Join us again next week for another episode of Nolan Financial Radio.